Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? What's been happening recently? I would say that progress is being made on the ideation part. I think it's basically done of the year 6 thumbnail art for Animal Crossing. I've got everything planned, so I've got the thumbnails, which means I've done the thumbnail. Whoa, already. No, I've done the blocking. And I've done the ideation, which is basically the planning portion, which I don't record, which, I don't know, I've been back and forth with I should have recorded, but because it's so stop-start, I haven't. But hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:36 PM on Saturday, December 8th, 2024. I guess part of it would be cool to be able to see the process as well, but I feel like because it's not actually part of building the thumbnail, the actual thumbnail itself, it kind of feels like a very disconnected portion. It's the equivalent of me sort of sitting down and thinking, being like, what should I do with this? And because it's a lot of me sort of just like pausing and like looking up references and cross-checking back and forth and then like deleting a load of things and starting again, it's like, I don't know if I want that necessarily in the thumbnail art time-lapse. It's sort of like it's sort of like being like, oh, you know, I want to put like a behind the scenes creation process on this thing, but I'm like also recording every single step of a brainstorming. So in which case I think it's better just to show like what the final results are from the ideation, and from there we can go into the actual final thumbnail art time lapse. It was a pretty fun ideation process this time. I'm not gonna lie. I can't exactly tell you what I was ideating, because that would then probably give away what the theme is for this thumbnail art. It's different, I would say. It probably will look the least like it's from an Animal Crossing game, I think, so far. But I will still try and hold on to elements of it which keep it grounded within whatever game it is. But it will probably look a little bit different. So that there is like a, not just necessity, but I feel like it's also fair to branch out a little bit from the exact Animal Crossing stylings. But yes, we're going to go to Halves Island and actually put away stuff that we've been carrying around for ages. I'm looking at the ideation page and it's actually kind of cool. But yes, these are just ideations. These are not full on executions yet. But I will need to actually start drawing the actual rough sketch at some point, and then the refined sketch, and then I don't know if I'll do two passes of a refined sketch. It'll probably just be rough into refined. I can't remember what I did last year, to be honest, but I'll probably just take a refined and actually like clean up or something. But yes, otherwise, what to talk about? There's not really much to say. I will say, you know, there's some like interesting. Oh wow, we're actually like really running out of space of storage space in our thing. We should actually start selling some things at Nooks again, because apparently we've nearly hit the 5,000 mark. We're on 4,400. No, I was talking to some of my friends. Well, I wasn't talking to my friends about it, but it came up in conversation about them watching like some of my Animal Crossing videos, and most of the time it's very funny to me. I have heard this before, that they try and watch if they think that they will be shouted out or referenced in the video and the conversation that I'm talking about. And sometimes they get baited and sometimes they don't. They are and in more recent times they tend to watch after the D&D sessions, because they try to tend to watch basically being like, oh yeah, like what are dear darling's thoughts about the D&D session, and then we're just like, oh, you know, it's the worst thing when you watch a D&D session, you watch an Animal Crossing episode that went up after D&D session, it turns out she recorded it before the D&D session, and you'll have to wait until tomorrow where she talks about it. Or you get a moment where it's just like, oh, you know, you want to find out more about the D&D session and that sort of thing, and she only speaks about it for the first like 2 minutes, and then, or like a few minutes, and then completely moves on to a different topic. I don't know, like I've had conversations about this before, the sort of concept of me talking about things. We don't need these wedding benches, we can get more of them if we need them, because I'm far past the point of actually decorating things anymore. But yeah, I have spoken to my friends a tiny amount, not all that much, about videos, and I've heard, of course, as I said before, the fact that they will tend to watch videos where they think they're being referenced. But it's really funny to hear them like try and sort of check it out to get like, I don't know if it's like behind the scenes knowledge about D&D, or if they're just seeing like what my thoughts were, or they're wanting to hear me talk about the funny things that they did in the session. I didn't inquire further about what parts they were particularly listening out for, but the idea that in my mind I'm like, oh, I only speak about D&D for like the first 5 minutes, and then we'll go on to like whatever our main topic is. But then them watching it be like, no, talk more about D&D or something. It's really quite funny to me. Not in a funny, like a haha, that's a silly way, but like a, it's quite sweet, if anything, way. So yeah, I don't know. It's what I've been doing is like a first 5 minutes, just a brief conversation introduction where I talk a little bit about like the games I'm playing, or a little bit about D&D or that sort of thing. It's like they want more. I mean, honestly, at some point I'm sure we'll have like an actual talk back with a D&D sessions. I mean, they're also, more than welcome to talk with me after the actual D&D session about it, but sometimes they need time to process and think about it, and sometimes I'm a bit more cagey about it with them in person compared to talking about in the episodes. I didn't realize how many of them actually like ended up watching some of these videos here and there, it does surprise me, I suppose, every time, because from my perspective, obviously there's no obligation. I'm doing this because I want to play these games, and it's just sort of, I don't know, something I've got into the habit of doing, I guess, if anything. I don't know what these presents are. We should probably sell them. Like, they've just been sort of sitting around for ages. I assume what they are is they must be presents to give for, like, increasing friendship. But we already maxed out our friendship, I'm pretty sure, of every single one of our villagers. So, yeah, unneeded. But I guess it makes sense, obviously. Like, do I check out stuff that my friends do? Yeah, obviously. So of course it would make sense that they would do the same for me. But like, I don't know. I just the idea of them trying to listen in and be like, oh, I wonder what like secrets dear darling should let loose Animal Crossing, or like talk about the stories that happen in D&D, and then I just like swiftly move on. I don't know. I guess on my perspective, I was like, I don't want to say too much, because like obviously my friends are not the only audience for these YouTube videos. A lot of you who are not necessarily within my close circle of friends are still people who enjoy checking out these videos, listening to me speak about something for 20 minutes each day. I don't know, maybe it brings a sort of sense of, I'd say normality is a wrong word, but a certain sense of comfort to your life where there's like a very predictable sort of pattern and things, etc. And maybe that gives like you a nice sense of comfort where you're like, oh yeah, I can listen into this random stranger who I don't really know much about, and she'll just prattle on about whatever comes to mind for ages. So obviously I'm recording these videos with that in mind, and being like, I'm not going to talk about a D&D session which you were not there for the majority of it. Oh, we can't actually sell the presents without opening them. Yeah, so I'm not going to rattle on about that, but obviously the audience is made up. Oh, it's fossils. Interesting. Gifted fossils. I guess villagers must not display fossils in their home. Is that what I was doing? I don't really know. Yeah, so that's the sort of consequence of when your audience is comprised of more than one demographic, I suppose. That's kind of the same sort of issue that anyone would really run into. But it's kind of funny, to say the least. But now the sort of ongoing joke is when something, I suppose, big or interesting happens, it would just be like, oh, I can't wait to watch Dear Darling's Animal Crossing video about it, which I just like, I suppose it would be easy to feel embarrassed about that sort of thing, but I don't really feel embarrassed about that, I don't think I'm particularly embarrassed about having the spotlight shone on me, at least not anymore. Like, certainly when I was younger, I think I was a lot more bashful about it, under the guise of humility. But I suppose one sort of major thing that I speak about this all the time, but really sort of like open my eyes to it, is that humility is not just completely rejecting. Humility to me is, by definition, you need to have an understanding of where you stand, right? Humility is not completely. Oh, that was actually a different colour. I should not have got rid of that. It's not. No, who's visiting? Get out of it, Rowan. It's not completely underselling what you're doing to the point of where you're being disingenuous of what you are who you are representing, who you are representative wise. But whatever, I'm not going to put that in storage. We'll sell it. I don't know, we can just walk into different rooms. I think Corin eventually gets bored and he leaves. Yeah, it's not so much about wow, is this still a birthday celebration? I forgot that I used to make this a room which would be themed after whatever season happened. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, thank you. I'm immediately going to sell this pet. What happens if I had full inventory when you did that? Can I leave like this? What happens? Oh, okay. Doesn't let me leave. Fair enough. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, under the guise of fake humility, because I am someone who doesn't mind the spotlight, but I think it's more, humility is meant to be the counterpoint to arrogance, which is like a overstating, I suppose, of your ability, rather than humility, which I feel like if you take the opposite on face value, it should be the understating humility of your ability, when really humility should be the true stating of your ability, right? So the spotlight is shone on me. I feel like nowadays I'm not much more accepting. If anything, maybe a bit too much. Maybe I've lent too much into the arrogant side. I certainly hope not. I like to think I am someone who still tries to remain humble. But at the same time, people change, and at the same time, people make mistakes, eh? I'm not saying that I think I'm a horrible person or something. Like that would be definitely very misrepresentative. Just the idea that, very specific to my situation, where it's just, like, didn't want the spotlight on me because I'm under the guise of being humble, when really that's not how humility should be defined, right? I'm not saying that's how it should work for you. Some people don't like the spotlight and, straight up don't want it, under the guise of arrogance, humility, or otherwise. That's totally fair. I was just saying, for my personal tastes, that's not really the right word, my personal feelings, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with this. That's why I don't know. I guess it's kind of amusing when my friends talk about my Animal Crossing episodes or anything like that. Not in a bad way or anything like that. Just sort of like I guess it sort of bridges the gap, because they feel quite disconnected. My sort of like real life talking to my friends compared to the sort of more meta talking about the YouTube videos. But so be it. That's just how it is sometimes. Anyway, long and short. Well, there isn't really much of a long and short of it. Just sort of, I don't know, it was just an amusing conversation, nonetheless. I don't know what I'm going to title this episode, but I guess tuning in or something. Like you're tuning into a radio show, just being like, oh, I met the person who hosts a radio show, or, I hope they have some cool things to say about their interaction with me. I don't think I've ever done that, mind you. I'm very much not the type to, like, call into a radio show or, I mean, that, I guess radio is kind of like, I don't want to say an outdated media form nowadays, but definitely one which is not as commonly interacted with. It still exists, though. What am I doing? I'm meaning to use ABD and basically deposit all my bells. Not literally all of them, but most of them. I'm not someone who interacts with radio that much anymore. I think the only times would be if I'm in someone's car, but even nowadays, like, instead of listening to, like, a car radio, we'd be listening to, like, someone's Spotify playlist or equivalent, right? Because that way it's kind of like your more curated radio. You might ever ask, like, are you ever the one in charge of the aux cord, dear darling? And the answer is no. Rarely. Sometimes I'll put my songs on. I just don't know enough. That's not true. But, like, I wouldn't be able to think of enough songs, I think, that I would put on, like, the aux cord on the playlist of that sort of thing. I know I have my own specific taste of things I like to listen to. I know that they don't necessarily align with what others want to listen to. And you might say that, like, maybe they want to listen to it out of curiosity's sake. Yeah, to a certain degree, but, like, not entire playlist. Come on. That's the point of the aux cord, is you pick songs that everyone likes, eh? How do we get onto this? I don't know. But anyway, tuning in, like, thinking that you're going to get a cameo or something. I can see the appeal behind that. I don't know what kind of noise that was. But yeah. Have I done something equivalent? sure I probably have. I'm trying to think of a good example. I don't really have a good example, but I'm sure there's times where I've been like, oh, I think I might get like referenced in this or something. I'm gonna like check it out or something. Although that's not necessarily true now I think about it. Like the most relevant thing I can think about is I did a voiceover for a Navia guide for KQM. I haven't even watched the guide, to be honest. I watched like a little bit of it and be like, oh cool, that's my voice, and I didn't watch the rest. And it's not from a thing where I feel like a lot of people, they don't like to look at their own work and be like, oh, this is so embarrassing, it's so cringe. I'm not like that, you know. I don't mean that in, like as a point of pride, I just mean that as a point of a factual statement. My shovel! I don't watch any of my videos, I don't tend to watch the things I create. The things that I suppose hook me more are more of the reactions to it, if anything. So I've read the comments of our videos, some of them crack me up. But definitely mixed responses. Because it's not really, like that Navia guide video was not quite my actual voice, mind you. It's a much more sort of peppy, cheerful, fire sort of thing. Because it was like, oh yeah, you know, I mean the specification was to like sort of like try and match a similar sort of energy, and I was like, Navia's like, she's a really sort of bubbly girl, she's full of excitement and that sort of thing. I don't have a natural voice which, you know, facilitates that, but I will do my best anyway. I saw some people say it sounds like a Disney character voice, which I thought was really, really funny. But yeah, I'm not really adverse to like watching my own things. I suppose if anything, if I look at it again, I'll just, you know, look at it under a guise of, not a guise, but quite literally this time, under like a critiquing lens, being like, oh, you know, I should have done that differently. I was like, I probably should have done another take of that, etc., etc. Which, you know, at some point is a bit counterintuitive, I suppose, because it's not like I'm a professional. But yeah, will I be doing more of those in the future? Yeah, probably, if given the opportunity. And I know there is an opportunity right now. I've sort of been unsure if I'll take it or not, because I'm just like, I don't know how much time I will have to be able to do it. But if no one else ends up taking it, then, you know, I'll do it. Luckily, voiceover work is one of the later steps of a thing. It's like third last step, right? Get the voiceover work and video editing. It's like something which needs to simultaneously come together recording. People need to write the script first or something. But yeah, I don't know, because I find doing voice work quite fun, unsurprisingly. I said this before, if I worked a job and, you know, money was no factor, and, you know, experience was no factor, I could just do it. I'd probably do voice acting work. I don't know if I'd be very good at it, but it's a fun time, nonetheless. But yeah, I feel like I'm more concerned about well, not concerned, but more interested in reactions. Like, I say before, I've done a lot of like these birthday creation things with a group of friends, and I like watching the reaction videos to it rather than the actual creation itself, because that is so much more entertaining. I suppose part of it is that sort of capturing of emotions, you know, that I've commented on before. It's nice because a lot of my friends are very expressive with their emotions. I'm much more sort of subdued with everything. Being able to see their emotions be captured is, you know, it's joy-inducing. Happiness is contagious, as they say. Anyway, another thing my friend said is, because obviously I don't use their names or anything, or like I try to not give out any like personal details about them when I record these, because I mean, this is like a public space. I'm the one who's, you know, signed up to be like, hey, yeah, I'm okay with speaking publicly about myself. My friends have not done so. Well, I'm sure on like a surface level, they're like, oh yeah, I don't mind if you say my name about something. Like, what does that affect? I don't know. I guess it's more of a principle of a matter sort of thing. It's a lot easier if I have these established notions where I'm like, I will give literally none of my friends' personal details away or anything like that. Not even their name, age, gender, etc., etc., occupation. Only things which are the bare minimum requirement for the story I'm telling, which a lot of times is not like relevant at all, like who they are. So while I'm sure most of my friends don't really care, I think it's more of a principle of the matter thing. The permanency of things being on the internet is also not something to be trifled around with, in my opinion. So yeah, anyway, sorry, to tie together anecdotes, they said about like, you know, sometimes you had to play a bit of a game, you had to work out the puzzle of Dear Darling as she talks about someone and like work out who she's referring to. Because it's probably very obvious if it's you in the story, you know, like, oh yeah, I did that thing that she's talking about in this story. But a little bit harder otherwise. But you know, that's just by the nature of it. Just the nature of respecting privacy, I think. And again, I would like to reiterate, I think most of my friends would not care, but again, it's sort of a principle of a matter, I guess more for myself than anything. It doesn't feel right, I suppose, unless they want to, you know, like start their own channel and publicly declare who they are. Then I'll be like, okay, yeah, fair, sure. I'll refer to you that way. And to be fair, one of my friends does do YouTube, Fodian, if you want to look them up. But that's on their own decision, I suppose, of how they will establish themselves, right? And a lot of my other friends don't. So that's just how it is. It is very weird, by the way, also referring to friends I know in real life, who I always call by their real name, and then referring to them by their, like, tag or handle. Actually, to be fair, another one of my friends was in the sort of, like, amateur pro league, I suppose, for League of Legends for a bit. So yeah, I don't know. Well, you can certainly find out their names and that sort of thing. I feel like let's not do that. Let's build up that, establish a sort of layer between anonymity and public-facing figures, you know? The disconnect between the audience and the talent, as they say. Not to say that what I'm doing is particularly talented. I mean, that's just normally what they refer to the cast, you know, actors, etc., on set. So I'm just using industry terms, if anything. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just kind of a no-brainer, really. But me saying the phrase "no-brainer" for some reason triggered a memory in my mind where I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like a game you could play called No Brainer or something, which I should talk about another time. It's also a very long episode. I'm gonna sell all these flowers and then I guess we'll round it off. But yeah, I don't know. Like, tuning in to see if you get a cameo is basically how this conversation started, and I think that's a very funny idea. To be perfectly honest, that my friends do, and I perfectly understand it. Just to sort of see your self-reference in a "hey, that's me" sort of way. Like, why wouldn't you? Just a little bit of fun. Just a little bit of fun. Keeps me going every day. So I was just looking at my phone and had messages. I also did not realise that I was apparently in the middle of a Starlight Stage song. Using up my stamina. Actually, normally I play Neopets at the same time as Animal Crossing, but seeing as this time we're doing some active spring cleaning, which we've not done for ages, it was a little bit more difficult too. So yeah, I don't know. Shout out to my friends. They made it this far. There's your little cameo conversation. But yeah. I don't know, I guess I find it very funny, if anything. Funny in a sweet way, as I say, not funny in a haha, look at this, and laugh, point and laugh sort of way. Maybe that's hard to convey. Anyway, at some point, I will hopefully finish up thumbnail art in time instead of making it super delayed. That's why I started it early this year, 3 months early. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.